Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing Shrek. Now, I'm sure you can tell from my voice I'm feeling much better, almost 100%. I say almost again, just in case it's a messy solve, so my excuses are at the ready. You may also see a beanie at the top, because once again, the UK's weather is, always surprising. It's May, and this morning, when we took our dogs out for a walk, when I was just as I'm recording this puzzle now, it was what, 3 degrees, 4 degrees, not far off freezing for us once again. Anyhow, let's cheer things up with this particular puzzle. You've got Sleuth here in some kind of carnival, festival. No, carnival or festival is the wrong word here. What would it be? Anyhow, let's take a look at the puzzle, and the reference for it is fairly obvious when you look at the grid. I think an excellent depiction once again from Willpower with, such few lines, and you can see very clearly an outline, pretty good outline actually, of Shrek with his pointy ears, kind of, I'm guessing that's nose, mouth, eyes. Lovely, lovely representation. So, Shrek by Willpower. Rules are, normal Sudoku rules apply. That means place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. We have German whispers. So numbers on green lines are at least 5 apart from their neighbor on the line. So if you imagine that this cell here is a 2, for example, that the neighboring cells on the green line must be 5 or more away, which would be 7, 8, or 9. If you imagine that this cell here was an 8, this cell here would have to be 1, 2, or 3 to be 5 or more away. And you may have already spotted a pattern of high digits 6, 7, 8, 9, low digits 1, 2, 3, 4, repeating and oscillating constantly between these two polarities. No 5s on German whisper lines. I think by now you all know why. Numbers may repeat on the green lines if other rules are out. Fair enough. RENBAN. So numbers on the purple lines are each a set of non-repeating consecutive numbers in any order. So, for example, if this cell here, I'm going to pick this cell. If this cell here is a 2, I am on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cell RENBAN. So I could have something like 1, 3, 4, 5, and it can literally be in any order. I could have 4 in here, 5 in there, 1 there, and 3 here. The order doesn't matter. What matters is the entire line on aggregate has a set of consecutive digits. It doesn't have to be obviously the 1, it could have been a 6. What it cannot be is a 7 because they're clearly no longer consecutive as a result. We have killer cages, numbers in cages sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage. So for example, if this cell here was a 2, this would have to be an 8 to make sure that these two cells add up to 10. These two are 16, 12, 16, etc. And I think that's nearly, Will specifically mentions that the 16 is sort of kind of written twice because some of the other software that is out there might actually have it obscured by the German whisper line. Not the case here. Last but not least, we've got KROPKI pairs. Numbers with white dots between them are consecutive and not all possible dots are given. So for example, if this cell here was a 2, this cell would have to be 1 or 3 to make sure that it is consecutive with the 2. So, only thing left to say is, if you want to visit this fairground, play with Shrek, I guess, alongside Sleuth, because it seemed to be very festive. Link will be in the description down below, as usual, for you to play along. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock, see how I get on. So, 16 cage, that has to be 7, 9. And that's interesting because it gives me the polarity. Remember German whisper lines? They oscillate in polarity, so these are all going to be highs. I'm going to use red for high, blue for low. These are all going to be low. This here in a 10 cage, for it to be high, has to be 6 or 8 because it's not 7 or 9 in the same row. And for it to add up to 10, it would have to be 2 or 4. 2 with the 8, 4 with the 6. The other thing that I'm also noticing, and actually that's quite useful because I think it gives us polarity on the other German whisper line. So take a look at column 5 and notice that we have these cages that add up to 28, 12 plus 16. Now, And we only have 2 cells outside of these cages. And I know that these 2 cells are 8 and 9. You're going to say, Sleuth, how do you know that? Well, given the definition of Sudoku is every column has the digits 1 to 9 once each. You add them all up, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, you get to 45. 45 minus 28, or minus 12 minus 16, you will get to 17. 17 in 2 cells can only be 8 and 9. And this is useful because it gives me, like I said, polarity on this other German whisper line, which is incredible because if you take a look at the 7 that I just colored, there can only be one high digit because, you know, there are 6, 7, 8, or 9. Which one of these do you think could fit inside a 7 cage? Well, it can only be the 6 and can only be the 1. A 6 on a German whisper line means this has to be a 1. This is forced to be 5 or more away. There's no other digit that can be next to the 6. This is fairly open. Fairly open. Double 1s looking at this 5 cage. This is forced to be 2, 3 now. And then this white KROPKI dot run. And it is a run. I made this mistake with the last willpower puzzle, but I think this time, you know, this additional cell that's at the top here is on a RENBAN, and when RENBAN's numbers do not repeat. So essentially we need to have like a run that goes, and I'm pretty sure, I think it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll fill it in and I'll explain why in a second, but this is forced 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Essentially, we know that this has to be a high digit because, you know, German whisper line, we've already given the polarity. If I started with a 2 and I was trying to ascend to a high digit, I'm only going to get to a 5, which is obviously not allowed on a German whisper line. This would have to be a 0 for it to work. So that forces this to be a 3, 4, 5, 6 to ascend. Now I have 5 and 6 on this RENBAN. This is a 7. It can't, obviously, it needs to be consecutive with the 6, and it's not 5, so that's forced to be a 7. This has to be an 8. I mean, it could obviously come back down to a 6, but no repeats are allowed on RENBAN lines. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's full run. It doesn't help me with my 7 9s. It does give me another 1, though, because of this 6 on this German whisper line. This is going fairly smoothly so far. So I'm noticing like a couple of other things. For example, the 12 cage I know is 5, 7. And because of the 7, 9, that would be the 7, that would be the 5. So 16 cage is quite big, and it's a 5-cell cage. The minimum a 5-cell cage can be is actually 15. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. This happens to be 1 extra. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. No 5s. The 5 has to be in a 12 cage. And because of what we just discussed, that's 7, that's 5. I'm not going to pencil mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's just nuts. Although this middle digit is actually interesting because it's not 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, or 9. It's actually quite limited. So we know it has to be from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we know it's not 1 or 2. And we know it's not 5. So it's 3, 4, or 6. Now, I don't think it can be 3, because that would mean, let me show you, that would be surrounded by 2, 4, which it can't be. So it's not 3, it's 4 or 6. Can I differentiate this? Probably. Let me think about this whole... So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 RENBAN, which means it's either the digits 1 through to 8 or the digits 2 through to 9. The 2 is already placed, so I can't actually have a 2 anywhere on here. So if that's a 4, that actually does break because it becomes 3, 5, and then I have to repeat the 2 and the 6. You can see that. So that is actually forced again. This is 5, 7. And this is, I guess, you know, continuing to go outwards 4 and 8. And I guess if that was the 4, well, that would have to be low. So that is not the 4, that is the 8. This could be 7 or 9, though. It doesn't actually have to continue ascending. Let's not make that mistake again. And that's so far so good. Now we need the 3 in here because I can see I've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So one of these cells is a 3. And it's either a 1 or a 9, remember. Clearly this is not the 1. So that could be a 9. And that could be a 1. Which makes sense because this is 1, 2, 3. Definite 2. The 2 is not repeated on the RENBAN. Fair enough. Yeah, this is still tons of options. It's probably not the next step. So I think it's all flowing very smoothly because Will has clearly laid out like a solution path, and providing you're following it, you don't have to do a lot of pencil marking and conjecture. So maybe now that I've done this, am I meant to be looking up here, do you think? What are these cells? They are 2, 4. They are 1, 3, 2, 4. And 1, 3, 4 are all looking at this cell. So that's a 2. There's in essence another 1, 3 with a 4 in here, a definite 4. This RENBAN, doesn't matter whatever it is in terms of size. If that's a 1, I'll need a second 2 on it, and I can't have a 1. Now, whatever it is, 3 or 4, no 2. So we've almost reached the bottom of this RENBAN. It's almost what I'm saying. So if it's only going up from a 4, it'll be 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's either... No, but I've got a... Hang on, let me think about this before I break it. Is that forcing this to be a 1? No, because if that's a 4, nothing's stopping from having a 3 and this being ascending. That's actually fine. Unless these RENBANs are meant to stop you. You could see I'm sort of losing that path. And now I'm sort of having to, look all over the place. And I don't know if I like that. Well, I mean, the 5 has to be here. So let's just think about this for a second. There's definitely a 5 on here. There's definitely a 6 on here. And there's definitely a 7, isn't it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's definitely a 7. And it's a question of whether it's 3 or 8. Okay. Not sure I can resolve it from here. I probably need to be looking elsewhere. One's not here. Actually, no, it's not there either. So ones are up here. It feels like a distraction. I'm not really. That is not a 1. That is not a 6. That's 8. That's 2. Not exactly helpful. That's 1, 2, 3. And this is also 1, 2, 3. Because, that could be an 8 and that could be a 9. So I can go up as high as 3. Right, let's do... Sorry, I said let's do, and then I completely went quiet. So there's another 3, 9, then a 4, then an 8. I'm looking for an elegant path forward, and maybe I should stop looking and just carry on solving, because there's so many things that you can do here to just advance it a little bit, so maybe that's what I'll do. I don't seem to be able to limit my options here. It's 1, 2, 8, 9. Not a 2. So the 2 is definitely on this side, and the 8 is definitely on this side. Okay, so I can limit my options. If that's a 1, that would be a 2, and it isn't. That's not a 1. If it's an 8, that would have to be 9, because 7 isn't right. It is just 8. Essentially, if it's a 9, it would have to be an 8, which is not available. If it's an 8, well, 7 is not available, but 9 is. So that's 8. That's 9. That's not 8. This is 1, 9. And this is not the 2, obviously. That's the 2. This is 1 or 9. It's just a 9. 1 because of this 1. 1 is in one of 2 places. Can it be in here? That would be 1, 2. Possible. We still need to determine... Oh, yeah, the 8 now I can see is definitely on the RENBAN. Now that 8 in box 5 is none of these cells, it's on the RENBAN, meaning that the RENBAN is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that cannot be a 3, that's a 4. And as a result, the 3 is not on the RENBAN. This is now a 1, 3 pair. We'll figure out which one it is in a second, but if that's a 1, that would be a 2. If that's a 3, it can be 2, or it could be 4. And these are now entirely forced. I say entirely forced. The 8s and 7s are still... No, they're not. They can't be on this side, so that's just 5, 6, and this is 7, 8, and this is another 7, 8. Lovely. 7, 8 pair, is it doing anything? Well, 1, 2, 3 triplet plus 7, 8 pair. These are cells that I should just be able to at least pencil mark as a pair. It's 6 and 9, and the 7, 9 tells me that's the 6, that's the 9. Which means that's an 8. That's a 9. Doesn't help me with my 1, 3 still. These 2 cells are what? So I have another low digit from 1, 2, 3 and a 4. Not sure. Yeah, not sure. Can I do anything with this? What am I missing? Must be missing something. Yeah, I still don't see a problem with this being 9 and this being 3, or this being 1 and this being 3. So there's another way to resolve this later. I'll have to figure it out at a different time. So this RENBAN, I mean, now that we've sort of completed a whole bunch of pencil marking, is interesting. There's a 2, 4 in here. Needs to go with an odd digit, which is the 5. So that is clearly the 4, 5. That is the 2, which forces a 1, which forces a 3, which gives me a 1. Remember, this RENBAN needed a 3. So that's that. And that is not a 1. That's 2 or 3. I don't think I have any restrictions on this right now. That's fine. Right. Let's see. If this is 4, that would be 5. That would be 6. That looks good to me. If that's 5, 4, 3, that also looks good to me. Is it 3, 4, 5? No, that would put another... Well, yeah, if this is 3, 4, 5, this cell here would have to be 2 or 6, and it can't be either. So that's 6, 5, 4, and now this cell could be 3 or 7, and it's not resolved. How is it not resolved? Wow. This is 1 or 3. In fact, it's just 3 because it's not 1 or 2, which makes this a 7, which gives me my 8, my 7, my 8. Right. Surely not far off finishing now. These 2 cells are 3 and 9. That's the 3, that's the 9. That removes a 9 from down here. That removes a 3 from here. Critical 3 probably, because that means that's a 3, that's not a 3, that's 1 or 2. And then in here it's 1, 2, 4. That's not 2, that's not 1. Fair enough. I think it's just normal Sudoku after that. We have essentially 1, 4, and 3. That's the 3. That's 1 or 4, also not resolved. We have a second 2, 4, and something else. What is the other thing? 5. Interesting, not resolved either. Well, neither of these are 2 because of these 2. So that's a 2, that's a 1, that's a 4, that's a 1. And this is now a 4, 5 pair. We have another 4, 5 plus something else. 6, I believe. Really surprised by some of these things still not resolving so far out, but it's okay. I mean, we've used basically all the clues at this point. It is just Sudoku. This all works. This all works. This is not. Yeah, Sleuth. That actually helps. 7, 9. Right. Now it's just Sudoku. Confident on that statement. Yeah. Right. Let's just finish this quickly now. I need so I need another 4, 5, 6 and a 2. That's not the 2. This is therefore 4, 5, 6. Ones. This is the 1. I need a 3. That's the 3. In here I need 7 and 8. No, that's the 7. That's the 8. These are from 4, 5, 6. The 5, 6 in here tells me that's the 4. That's 5, 6. And that's not 4. That's not 4. I don't actually know which one of these is the 4. That's fine. In here I need a 2, which can only be in here, and a 5, 6. It's a 5, 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, 5. Right. Come on, Sleuth. We need 4 and something else. 4 and 6. 6 is here. 4 is there. We need a 7 and 9. Right, last box. This is 9. We need 4, which can only be in here. And then if I've not made any mistakes, 8 for the finish. It's a lovely puzzle, willpower. I mean, now that I've sort of colored it and placed some digits, it's sort of harder to see, but fantastic drawing of Shrek. You know, love these matchstick figures. And a very smooth solve as well. Hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video. And I know it is a bank holiday here in the UK for Monday, but given it's not necessarily the case in the rest of the world, I went for a more approachable puzzle. There is on Patreon a harder puzzle that's been posted, a 2-star difficulty one, so you're welcome to give that a go if you want. See you back for the next video. Bye-bye for now.